The average cost of mesothelioma treatment can exceed $400,000. Families often face losing their homes or life savings just to pay the bills. If you or a loved one worked in these industries and were diagnosed with mesothelioma, you may be entitled to compensation to protect your family. At Rights and Claims, we've helped families recover over $1 billion to cover medical costs, lost wages, and more. Let us help you secure their future with the compensation you deserve. Call 800-596-4889.
Welcome to the Turnpike Sports Spotlight. Dave Weishottle with you. As people start making their summer plans, there is one place that I think they need to consider checking out. It has a historic thoroughbred racetrack, an incredible casino, world-class restaurants, and first-class entertainment, and it's all in Arkansas. I'm talking about the incredible Oaklawn Hot Springs, and we're going to hear all about this incredible resort because on the line we have Lewis Cella, president of Oaklawn Hot Springs. Lewis, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
I got to tell you, I'm excited to hear about Oaklawn Hot Springs because if you're a fan of horse racing and if you're a fan of casino resorts, Oaklawn should be at the top of your list to check out. But for people who aren't familiar with Arkansas and their gaming scene, can you give us a kind of snapshot of what Arkansas has to offer people who are fans of horse racing and casinos?
Sure, and it's a fun story and it's a great story. We're really a hidden gem in the Ouachita Mountains in Hot Springs, Arkansas, Hot Springs National Park. But what's fun about it is it's very hard to get to, and once you get there, it's very hard to leave. We're in the heart of the state of Arkansas, surrounded by forests. And what's fun is the quirky little town of Hot Springs, which we're located in. There's Mountain Valley water from the streams that have been flowing for literally the late 1800s, and it has not stopped. And you go into the town, and you'll see spigots that are open, and people bringing their jugs to fill them up to bring them home, and that's the only water they'll drink. Our history with horse racing, we've been around for over 100 years, and they're wonderful stories of trainers back then that would give their horses the Mountain Valley water because it's so clear, and it is so clear and clean today. It really is a fabulous story and a fabulous town.
You mentioned horse racing, and when I heard I was going to do an interview on Oaklawn, I immediately thought of horse racing because I'm such a huge fan of horse racing. And any horse racing fan immediately knows about Oaklawn because it's one of those historic tracks in this country. Tell us something about Oaklawn and the track, because it plays such a huge role in the history of horse racing in this country.
Well, it does, and we've really grown that over the last several decades. It was found in 1904 by my namesake, Louis A. Cella, and his brother, Charles J. Cella. And so I'm a fourth generation guy. And back then, the name of the game nationally were to have country fair tracks, just weekend tracks, and you could do it nationally. And the reason that was important is at that time you could legally bookmake. And that was the name of the game. And at the time in the early 1900s, 1920s, 1930s, our family had as many as 30 different fair meets across the United States.
Wow.
And ultimately, my father sold Fort Erie track in the late 1960s. And that track still exists today. So we have a great history. Of course, we have Oaklawn. That started in 1904, and we've had some great horses. Most recently, of course, Mystic Dan, who won several of our races in the Kentucky Derby, Torpedo Anna, who actually just won a race last week in our area and is getting ready to run in our Apple Blossom for over $1 million, but more importantly, won last year's Fantasy in the Kentucky Oaks and is named Horse of the Year. Which is including the boys and the girls. So we really do have a feather in our cap when it comes to quality racing.
If you're a horse racing fan, Oaklawn is one of those bucket list tracks you have to visit. When people do visit Oaklawn, what type of racing schedule can they expect? And can you tell us about some of the big events and races that are happening at the racetrack coming up?
Well, we do. It's quite methodical. We circle the Kentucky Derby, which is always run the first Saturday in May, and we go backwards. So our prep races for the Kentucky Derby culminates with our Arkansas Derby, which is just a couple of weeks away, March 29th, and we'll have the very best of the best thoroughbreds from around the country flying in to see if they can gather enough Derby points, is what they're called, to participate in that event. So we'll have horses from California, Florida, New York, Kentucky, of course, flying in or driving in for those big races. And of course, we have the Oaklawn Handicap for older horses, which is over $1 million. The Apple Blossom over $1 million for older mares. So it's highly, highly competitive racing. And a spin that we'd like to see is what we constructed just a handful of years ago, is the Oaklawn Hotel. You'll never see anything like that in racing anywhere.
Wow.
And that is a hotel which is on the racetrack. Half of the rooms are literally facing the track. The other rooms are facing the Ouachita Mountains and with the Valley of the Vapors. And what's fun is that early morning you'll see steam coming up from all of the springs in the valleys. It really is spectacular.
You mentioned it's not just the racetrack. I mean, Oaklawn Hot Springs isn't just one of the premier racetracks in the country, but you had an incredible expansion a couple of years ago to the overall resort. I mean, you have an incredible casino, hotel, restaurant, spa, entertainment, sports betting. You name it, you pretty much have it at Oaklawn Hot Springs. But I want to first start with the casino at Oaklawn, because I know a lot of our listeners are casino players. Tell us something about the casino and what people can expect when they walk onto the gaming floor at Oaklawn Hot Springs.
Well, it's a full casino. There are no restrictions. In fact, the law that was passed in 2018 basically said the rules that Vegas can do it, we can do it. And so we do.
Good.
And we wanted to offer every opportunity that you have in Vegas in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And that's what's fun. We are a no smoking casino. But what we did, and I scratched my head because I don't know why other casinos don't do this, but they don't. We have a designated area for smoking, not on the main casino floor. We put in about $1 million of air conditioning and ozone spraying to sucks out all of the smoke. So you can walk in there if you smoke, but more importantly, when you walk out, you don't smell like smoke. That is off of the casino floor, which is non-smoking. So you have the very best slots and tables on the main floor, and you have the exact same in the smoking casino. So it really is quite unique and a special place.
Now, you said you're just like Vegas, and you actually are, because you also have a sports book at the resort. Tell us about the sports book at Oaklawn. I mean, I checked it out at your website, and that's oaklawn.com, and it looks like it pretty much has everything a sports bettor would ever want, which is amazing in Arkansas.
Yeah, in fact, we have as many opportunities as anywhere in the country. Mm-hmm. Not only do we have a retail book at the track on the end of the casino floor, but we also have mobile sports. Mm-hmm. And the way our laws and rules are drafted is that if you're in the four walls of the state, you can bet on our app, Oaklawn Sports. And it's a terrific app. In fact, many of my friends outside of the state have it because they get to check on all their sports and their odds, especially this time of year with basketball. It's real time and it's real fun, and it's very easy to use. So we do have a sports book. We have, of course, the full resort casino floor, but we also have the event center in the hotel, and it drives me crazy when all these other places call themselves resorts, when what they have is a slot floor, and that's about it, or maybe a simple restaurant. We don't. We really take that name and grow on it and believe in it, because you don't have to leave. We have the spa. We have entertainment. We have several restaurants, sports book. We have a little bit of everything, and of course, this time of year, the very best racing in the country.
You mentioned restaurants, and anyone who listens to this show knows that one of my criteria for a great casino resort is great food. And I went to your website again, oaklawn.com, and you have 2 pages of bars and restaurants for your guests, which is just incredible. But I want to ask you about a couple of them that were just put on the 2025's Forbes Travel Guide, and that is Oak Room and Bar and the Bugler. Let me first ask about the Oak Room and Bar. Tell us something about that, because I looked at the menu and that is something special. And to be put in the Forbes Travel Guide is also something special.
It is. And frankly, when we designed this resort, if you will, my wife and I wanted to do something that Arkansas would be very proud, and something that Arkansas and the region do not have access to. So with the Oak Room and Bar, we have original artwork that we bought from various houses, art houses around the country, that is displayed. And frankly, it's something that we wanted to show, that when you walk in those doors, you don't know you're in a casino. Even though you're right off the casino floor, you can't hear the slot machines, you can't hear the ding ding dings. You've stepped away into an environment which really is food oriented and high quality, with a great wine list to take a break from that. And it really is quite special. So we're very proud of that.
Let me ask you also about the Bugler, which also made the Forbes Travel Guide. Which caught my eye is any restaurant that has Creole shrimp and grits should be placed in the Forbes Travel Guide. Tell us about the Bugler, because that is the menu I gravitated toward, because I think that looks great.
It really is, and we're fortunate. Again, by design, the Oak Room is the highest level we offer. Just a notch below is a little more casual, which is the Bugler. And the Bugler, what is frankly special about that, it's about the bugler, racing bugler, that calls the post before each race. There's a quite a large 12-foot statue, bronze statue, in the front entrance of the Bugler. But more importantly, vast 20-foot windows that are looking on the racetrack from the restaurant. And you can eat inside or outside. So what's special is during the racing season, when the weather permits, you can eat outside and see the races from there, or have an intimate dinner as well. So it's a slightly different menu, but we really wanted to offer, again, it comes back to the resort. When you go to a traditional resort in Las Vegas or wherever, you have options. And our goal was to give you options, and that's exactly what you have. We have Big Al's, which is casual, and you walk up and get a cheeseburger or a milkshake, all the way to the Oak Room and Bar, which is fine dining, very nice high-end steaks and fish and seafood and everything in between. So we're really fortunate that the design came out. You never know when you put it on paper how it ultimately is going to work out. But I think we hit a home run with this, with all of our food and culinary options. It really touches the bases for everyone.
No, you mentioned options, and it's amazing how many great options you have. You even have the only 4-star rated spa in Arkansas, and that's the Astral Spa at Oaklawn. Tell us about that, because that also made the Forbes 4-star rating, because that's absolutely incredible.
It is, and quite honestly, we blew the budget on that. We wanted to have something, again, quite special and unique, but we also wanted something that you really don't have the opportunity to experience, especially in our region. You have to go to South Texas or maybe to Arizona to experience something like this. So it really is quite special. We can't call ourselves 5-star because we're not, but Forbes told us we're a 4++. We missed it by just a freckle, but that's life, and we'll get our 5th star next year for sure. But we have everything, a boys and girls section. It's all inlaid in marble. We wanted to bring back the history of hot springs, so we have needle showers and infrared saunas, dipping pools, cold rooms, steam rooms, a little bit of everything, and of course the services, which are second to none. So it is quite special, deserving to be a 4-star, and it'll be a 5-star next year for sure.
I was looking at your website again to get the whole concept of the place, and it's just outstanding. And your entertainment is first class too, and something for everyone. I know on March 21st you have Clint Black, and I gotta tell you, for all the people who grew up in the 80s like myself, on April 5th you have Dokken. I saw them in Philadelphia, and I might have to take a trip down to Arkansas to check out this show because that's incredible. Tell us about the entertainment people can experience at Oaklawn, because it really has something for everyone.
It does. In fact, just a couple of weeks ago, we had Jay Leno.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we try to have our entertainment from comedians to bands to pop. We even have cover bands, which are very, very exciting, and people absolutely love it. And we do try to cross all genres, and that's what's unique about it. We're a very family-friendly resort, if you can have one. Even though we're a casino, you have to be over 21 to be in there. But of course, the event center's in the hotel side, the Bugler's in the hotel side. So we have events really for everyone in all ages, and all genres of entertainment, from comedians to rock, to country and western, a little bit of everything. And it's also what's quite unique is, and it was by design, the event center, of which we house these events, is for 1,500 people, but that also can be converted into 1,000-person seated dinner.
Wow.
And so we host wedding receptions and events and conventions that have literally 1,000 people at a sit-down restaurant with the finest food that you can get, because we have a dedicated convention kitchen right off of the event center. So it's all right there. And obviously we've all been to events where the food arrives cold or hard. It's awful because they can't get from A to B. Not at Oaklawn. We were adamant about that. If we're going to offer something that is first class, it better be first class from start to finish, and that's what we've accomplished. So even with a smaller event with 30 people or 10 people up to 1,000, you're going to have a very nice hot meal, and it'll be terrific.
I told you off air before we came on, I've been doing this for a long time, talking to a lot of casino and racing personnel and presidents and CEOs, and never have I seen a resort with so many nationally recognized options and facilities for its guests. I mean, kudos to you and your staff, because you have done an amazing job in expanding Oaklawn Park into Oaklawn Hot Springs.
Well, we have, and frankly, we started as a racetrack. Mm-hmm. And over time, we've evolved in what we were able to do. But one of the more difficult things we had to overcome was our location. And when we only had racing, it's an hour from Little Rock. You're surrounded by national forest. Gosh, it's hard to get to. But now it's one of our absolute biggest assets, mm-hmm. because we now, through our state, have developed all of the areas around us to the natural springs in the hiking and biking paths. And we have 5 lakes surrounding us with fishing. So now our resort, with our concierge services, can book you fishing on the lakes for striped bass, or give you a bike to go up into the North Woods that you can get lost for quite literally miles and miles and miles, and come across a little stream to take a dip in. I mean, it really is spectacular.
You mentioned the evolution, and I'm glad you used that word, because I know the horse racing and the casino industry are going through some changes right now and debating several issues. I mean, on the horse racing side, a historic horse racing track closed down that's very close to me. I'm here in New Jersey, and Freehold Raceway closed down in New Jersey. I never thought I would ever see that close ever in my lifetime. And we're hearing from a lot of people debating the issue of pari-mutuel betting versus fixed odds betting for horse racing, and how can that help the racing industry. Oaklawn has been such a successful track for so long. What do you attribute that success to, and where do you think the horse racing industry is headed in the near future?
Well, first off, our success is that we've been creative and innovative. I gave a talk in Arizona at the racetrack symposium not too long ago, and took the gloves off, because if little old Oaklawn in Hot Springs, Arkansas can do it, why can't these other tracks do it?
Absolutely.
And I gave some examples. As, for instance, in the 1989, 1990, we started the very first interstate simulcast wager with pooled wagers, pari-mutuel pools. Mm-hmm. They did it in California, in New York and California, within the state, intrastate, but never across state lines. In tracks like Oaklawn, we were open for 60 days, closed for 300 days. It was not a good economic model. So we put our feet up and said, why can't we do this? And quite literally, with a handshake between my father and Mr. Dick Duchossois, who passed away, who owned Arlington, we had the very first interstate simulcast that Oaklawn took its wagers. And then you fast forward, and today it represents over 90% of the North American handle. And fast forward in the 90s, when Tunica, Mississippi grew and all the casinos started to pop up around us, there was not a single state in the country that had more surrounding casinos than in Hot Springs, Arkansas. So what did we do? We came up with a product they called Instant Racing. Instant Racing saved Oaklawn. Frankly, today, with your national audience, you hear it called historical horse racing.
Yes.
Again, it started at Oaklawn with Instant Racing back in 2000. And from there, we went in 2006 to electronic games of skill. And how did we do that? Well, we showed that we were good actors and we were not greedy, and we worked with our horsemen and our racing commission. And the state saw where the tax would benefit, but more importantly, it would help horse racing. And then, of course, the final is in 2018. And frankly, a lot of people don't know this. But we had absolutely nothing to do with this, to getting the casino laws passed in 2018. The Quapaw Nation came to us and said, will you fight us? And we said, you know what? If you support racing and create a special fund of which gaming dollars of every casino in the state goes into the special fund for purses, then we won't fight it. And they agreed to that. Well, guess what? We now have $60 million of purses each year for a 65-day meet. It's nearly $1 million a day. Wow. Our horse racing at Oaklawn is thriving. It's growing. And what does that let us do? It lets us bring fans in and not offer $15 sodas and beers, and we subsidize it, and we have probably what we think we don't. Again, it's like the smoking casino. Why they don't do this? We have what we call the show bet bonus. On track, we lower the takeout from 17% to 10% on show wagering. Well, if you go to any track in America, take New Jersey, your hometown, the show pool might be 5%, 6%, 7%. Mm-hmm. With Torpedo Anna just 2 weeks ago at Oaklawn, it was 25%.
Whoa. Okay.
What does that mean? How could that be? Well, what happens is people realize that if you are on track, you're going to cash in tickets and get that much more money back. It's fun. And guess who's cashing those tickets? Young fans, new fans. They're saying it's a great time, a great experience. So yes, Oaklawn, again, is leading the country, but we believe in the product. And that's, I think, the greatest success story of all is we believe in the product. And if we do our job right, folks are going to show up, which is why for Derby in a couple of weeks, we'll have 70,000 people. For the Zeri to see Torpedo Anna, we had 35,000 people. For our Rebel, a few weeks prior to that, we had 40,000 people. Keep in mind, the population of Hot Springs, 35,000. So we almost doubled the population during our big days.
What about the casino industry? I mean, I'm sitting here in New Jersey where we have online casinos and online poker, but the state just north of me in New York, they're still debating whether to allow online casinos because a lot of people feel that it will cannibalize the business to the brick and mortar casinos. What do you see as a future for the casino industry?
We agree with that.
Okay.
We are vehemently against the online casino push, which has been pushed, frankly, by Saracen Casino. I'm unsure their motivation behind that, other than for greed for some reason. We've got a good thing going right now. It's managed appropriately. Our fans love it. The state is doing quite well through taxes. We have a resort, and we owe it to our fans to offer the highest quality product. If it's racing, if it's casino, if it's spa, if it's food and beverage, we have a responsibility of being the best. Well, as soon as you bring in online casinos, you're going to start losing your on-track business. No question about it. And when you start on losing that, what's going to go first? Well, you're going to start cutting people. You're going to start cutting services because you can't afford it. And so it just doesn't make any sense to us. And yes, there's studies. For every study out there that the proponents say that this is the greatest thing in the world, I'll show you 10 that says it's not.
So are there any future plans for Oaklawn Hot Springs that people should be aware of? Any big events that you want to tell people about happening at Oaklawn in the near future?
Well, we have our Arkansas Derby, which is March 29th. And it really is the finest thoroughbred racing to final leg to see if they get in to go to the Kentucky Derby, as well as their fantasy to see if the best filly can go to the Kentucky Oaks, just like Mystic Dan and Torpedo Anna. And of course, all summer long, interestingly, a lot of people don't realize, yes, we get a bump during racing season because we have thousands of people at the track. But our biggest bump, our biggest increases is in the summer, because now it's the tourism. Now we have people from coming in for the lakes and the hiking and biking, and they want to stay and enjoy our infield and go to the hotel and see the events. And that's what really makes it special. So it's a year-round resort. It's not just about racing, even though racing is offered from December until May. From May into December, there are so many things and fun things to do, not just at Oaklawn, but in Hot Springs, which, by the way, is a very small community. Again, its population is 35,000 people. From one end to the other, it's 20 minutes. But through our services, we can set up fishing and boating and skiing and hiking and biking. It really is spectacular.
Lewis, we're running out of time, but can you give out a website for Oaklawn Hot Springs so people can find out more about the property and book a room at the hotel? Because I think I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, well, just to oaklawn.com. We'll get you there to the website and get you every page that you need. It's a lot of fun, and the website also has all food and beverage and hotel reservations, etc., including our media guide that gives a little history and schedule.
Lewis Cella, president of Oaklawn Hot Springs, thank you so much for coming on and telling us all about the property. A historic horse racing track, a casino, sports betting, entertainment, an incredible hotel, and world-class dining. I think Oaklawn Hot Springs has it all if you're looking for a casino resort. Please come back on and keep us updated on Oaklawn Hot Springs, because it seems like there's something always happening there. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, and look forward to it.
That'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.